But Michael, you mentioned you have a 5-year-old, and just before we started this, here in California, you're in California as well, they are now announcing, Newsom has just announced vaccine mandates for all kids at school from grades 7 to 12, and they're recommending it for 5-year-olds to, I think, what was it, 5 and up. How do you feel about that, sort of specifically for your child, but also more broadly that the government is just saying who has to be injected with what, when, while it seems, at least to me, pretty unclear whether any of this stuff is working as promised?
Yeah, I'm not going to get my 5-year-old vaccinated at this point. As far as I know from the science, he's in the lowest risk cohort there is. Well, we found essentially a homeschool Montessori school in Santa Barbara here that's independent, and there's no masks, and they're not socially distanced. It's a small school, but so it's one thing to recommend. It's another thing to mandate. I certainly would be against the latter, particularly in cohorts like this where it's not well known what the effects might be on a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, whatever. Certainly older adults, and my wife and I are both vaccinated, double vaxxed, and we wear our masks where we have to here in Santa Barbara where it's required. I don't want to be that guy that draws the line in the sand like that guy last week on I think it was an American Airlines flight. He decided he had enough with masks at 35,000 feet up and stood up in the middle of the aisle and confronted the flight attendant like this is his moment. Well, he's in jail now, so I don't want to be that guy. I do think there's value to the vaccine. Certainly, it doesn't look like the masks, at least the flimsy little cloth masks that most of us wear. The N95 masks. Is that right? M95. Anyway, the 95 masks.
Yeah,
they seem to work much.
That's
much
a little
better.
stronger than the flimsy
N95.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to make a difference. But for, just in terms of who's most at risk, children are the least at risk for both getting the COVID and the effects of it on their body. So it seems weird that has become the emphasis now. There was a meme going around the other day of showing 3 panels. The top panel was the U.S. Open audience, 15,000 people packed in there, no masks. Yep. And then an NFL game, 50,000 people packed in, no masks. And then school children, here they are, socially distanced, desks are 6 feet apart, and they're all masked up. The least risk cohort versus the higher at risk. I think it's the inconsistency, the hypocrisy of government officials and mandates and recommendations that bothers people the most. There's multiple reasons for vaccine hesitancy, but that's one of them, and particularly here in California. As you know, Newsom hasn't been very consistent, to say the least, yeah. and at least hypocritical, that I think it drives people away from listening at all to.
So Pete,